10 scientifically impossible places that actually exist from Mind Boggler. We will see about that.
The 7 wonders of the natural world may have been named too quickly. Wonders like the Grand Canyon and Victoria Falls are certainly big.
Yeah.
And anyone who sees them will surely be impressed.
I want that job. I want the job of the person who goes, oh, on a green screen. I would nail that.
Leave a person in awe. There are other places in this world, though, that are far stranger.
What even is this? So this is on the thumbnail. This is actually what hooked me. I don't know what it is. This water? Is this like Pirates of the Caribbean where they go take a boat down into the underworld or whatever? Or is this ice? I can't even tell. It's so low resolution. Okay, they take the boat down the falls here. And then they go into the upside down world. Whatever.
As if they could only exist on a planet that evolved separately from our own.
What is that? If we're playing for credibility here, this is not the image you want to put in.
Number 10, Devil's Kettle. As far as natural mysteries go, the Devil's Kettle in Minnesota is one of the most intriguing ones.
What? Minnesota? I gotta go.
At a particular point along the Brule River, the river's water splits into
Brule
two.
River.
One split continues its course onto the Lake Superior, and the other split, well, we have no clue where it goes. Scientists know.
So you're telling me nobody has just gone over there and looked down into that hole? No, we can't climb up there. It's too slippery. You can just look, brother. Or like drop a GPS, if it goes underground or something, just drop a GPS thing in there.
Scientists know it has to end up somewhere, but we don't know where that
They're
is.
reusing this guy, right?
Scientists first tried putting dye
back
into the kettle and waited to see which part of the lake turns up colors. It was a futile effort. Nothing turned up. Next, they decided to try it with ping pong balls. They also vanished without a trace. What the hell is going on?
What is going on? I feel like no real scientist has looked at this place, if I'm being honest. I don't know who these scientists were, but they were not very good at their job if they couldn't figure this out.
We all know that laws of science dictate that the water has to turn up somewhere. Even if it is being stored underground, there should be markings, and it should be traceable.
Sure.
Aliens. Parallel universe?
Whoa!
Glitch in our programming?
That was Inception,
Some Mayan trick? Your guess is as good as mine. Number 9, Hessdalen Lights. Residents of Hessdalen Valley, Norway, are continually living in a realm of great scientific mystery.
Amazing.
Almost every night, lights appear in the sky. They are of bright color.
Sorry, I don't want to be this guy the whole time, but isn't this just a long exposure photo? Where you do the thing where the stars move across the sky and leave a trail of light.
Colors. They dance around, shift shapes,
okay,
flash
I see.
unmistakably, and disappear, only to appear the next day during the night.
Could be some kind of Northern Lights phenomenon.
For 4 decades
okay, it is a
at
long
least.
exposure photo.
Scientists are perplexed by
This
this
is
mystery.
amazing. What an edit, dude. Masked it over the laptop screen to the stock footage. That's amazing.
There are theories, though, but none
Look at
seems
him
to
go.
be good enough. Since at least the early 1930s, people have spotted the lights and hypothesized what could be
The
causing them.
mind bogglers,
One
dude.
theory suggests that the lake is radioactive. The radon rides dust particles, and upon elevations, it decays and produces lights.
Okay.
Another theory suggests that the base of the valley is full of sulfuric acid. Sulfur reacts to the water and produces what scientists call sparks.
Sure.
Hundreds of tests have been performed to pinpoint the exact cause.
Hundreds
but to
of
no
tests? You're telling me hundreds of tests have been run and they just can't get to the bottom of it? They're like, oh, I don't know. I guess this doesn't really matter. It's like figuring out where Devil's Kettle goes or trying to cure cancer. As a scientist, a talented scientist, you have to choose one of these two things. Those are the two paths after you get your PhD in science. I think most people typically choose the more impactful one, right?
Number 8, Movile Cave. In southeastern Romania, there is a cave that was locked away from the slightest ray of light for 5.5 million years. And that has a completely different atmosphere from the Earth. The cave was discovered by workers looking to set up a power plant.
Yep.
They tested the ground to see if it was a safe place to
Yep.
build and cracked open a pathway that leads into one of the strangest places on Earth.
What is this,
If you
Movile
descend
Cave?
through the narrow shaft and past a series of tunnels, you enter a chamber with a lake of sulfuric water stinking of rotten eggs.
Disgusting.
The air there is
I think that's pretty typical for caves, though. Like, sulfur collects in caves a lot of times and makes them very stinky.
toxic, filled with hydrogen sulfide, and contaminated with 100 times the surface's level of carbon dioxide.
Dude, this place is weird.
The strangest part, though,
Looking this up, according to Wikipedia, the level of oxygen is only a third to a half of the concentration of found in the open air. So if you go down there, it's like going to super high elevation or something. I've never really thought about an environment that could be so isolated with limited ventilation like that naturally.
is that a whole ecosystem has survived inside it. Researchers have found 33 species inside the cave that don't exist anywhere outside of it. They've adapted to survive in a sulfuric atmosphere,
It's
living
like-
by feeding off a foam on top of the stones. Number 7.
It's like an alien planet down there because the atmosphere is completely different from the surface, right? And the conditions are weird because of the chemical environment of the water. So they have evolved all these weird species. That's pretty interesting. The cave is closed to the general public and only a few researchers are permitted inside each year to minimize the disturbance to the fragile ecosystem. That makes sense. 57 animal species there. All of them are disgusting, ones that you really do not want to encounter. Huh, that's cool. I feel like science has explained this, though.
Lake Karachay. The Soviet Union had many nuclear facilities, and most of them were ill-planned
I hope it's
and
Blinky
unsafe.
from The Simpsons.
Inside one such factory, there is a lake. The lake's water has more radioactive material than anywhere else on Earth. Lake Karachay is
What?
so radioactive that you will die within an hour if you stand near it. Soviets dumped nuclear waste into the lake.
Dude.
Their nuclear practices have caused a few problems with the lake in the past. In 1957,
That edit was crazy.
We'll
let him
an
finish.
explosion blew the factory apart.
Wow, dude. Oh, they
and
run
the
it back.
radioactive particles spread more than 23,000 kilometers.
Excuse me. The Soviets really were just like, yeah, just dump the uranium in the lake. What is the problem? What's the big deal? Just throw it in there. Like they lit that crater on fire in Turkmenistan too. It's been raging for over 50 years. There's been a fire in this crater full of natural gas. Yeah, there's a lot of natural gas. Just light it on fire, okay? What's the big deal? It stinks over there. I love these guys. They had no regard for anything on the planet.
The area
Based.
is more radioactive than Chernobyl. The lake
That's
has been covered
crazy.
with concrete to keep these disasters from happening. Still, the entire place is eerily unstable and massively radioactive.
They also did a number on the public's perception of nuclear energy, which I am a big proponent of. Interesting. It's unfortunate that that is the case because we need it. Anyway.
Number 6. The Doubletree of Casorzo.
But going back to that, science did explain it, right? It's just radioactive because there was a big explosion that got in the lake. Am I crazy to think that none of these are unexplained? Maybe they're dialing up to that. Also, been there. That's Manarolo, I think, in Cinque Terre in Italy. That place rules.
Piemonte, Italy. There is an unusual sight. There is a cherry tree there that looks, in most respects, just like any other healthy
wish that I'd
cherry
seen
tree,
this video before.
except that it happens to be growing directly on top of a mulberry tree.
Tree on top of a tree? Double tree! That's insane, dude. That's cool. This one is legitimately cool. The other ones so far have not been that exciting, but I'm all in on double tree. I'm going to try to plant a tree on top of a tree in my backyard and see if I can grow a double tree.
This isn't completely unprecedented.
Oh.
Parasitic trees have grown out of others before, but normally they are small, stunted
Or in the
things
rainforest,
that
yeah.
live short lives before falling off. The double tree of Casorzo, though, consists of 2 fully formed, healthy trees, each.
Hold the phone. It's beautiful. Is there a big bowl of dirt in the top of that tree? There must be, right? For it to live in there? Where is it on the map? If it's close to where I was in Italy, I'm going to be mad that I missed it. Oh, it's not anywhere close to what they showed in the stock footage. Recently, I did a drive from Milan to Nice, though, and we went actually kind of close to this. I'm mad that I didn't go get to see the double tree. But anyway.
Spreading its branches 5 meters across. Nobody quite knows how it happened. The locals believe that a bird may have dropped a cherry seed on top of the mulberry tree.
Yeah, okay.
The seed grew roots that pushed through the mulberry tree's hollow trunk and reached all the way to the soil below, letting it survive
B-roll in this
and grow
video
into
is
a full, healthy tree.
Totally random and awesome.
Number 5. The sleeping city.
I understand why it has 38 million views now, because this video rips.
Of Kalachi. The city of Kalachi, Kazakhstan, is not Disney's creation. It is as real as it gets.
Not.
Citizens of
There's
Kalachi
nothing that looks like there is nothing that looks like Disney in the entire country of Kazakhstan.
Peculiar epidemic. People just collapse into naps.
Oh my God, that
randomly,
woman!
Even while walking
Oh my God,
on
that
the road.
man!
They also report memory loss, fatigue, and hallucinations. The epidemic affects people from all genders and ages. Kazakhstan has even recommended evacuations, but they are no closer to solving the problem. One theory suggests that the residents are facing some kind of radiation poisoning, since the area is near a uranium mine. However, there are flaws in that theory. All the blood tests and other monitoring has turned up 0 evidence.
Interesting.
Secondly, there is a town which is closer to the mine than Kalachi, and they have reported no such epidemic.
Apparently, the sleeping sickness of Kalachi, Kazakhstan, sometimes called Sleepy Hollow. It causes someone to sleep for days or weeks at a time, along with other symptoms like hallucinations, nausea, intoxicated behavior, disoriented, and memory loss. Interesting. You know that there's entire countries that have this as well, like Spain and Italy. Like, they are just so sleepy down in southern Europe. I feel like they would fit right in with these guys. Stating heightened levels of carbon monoxide along with other hydrocarbons due to a flooding of an abandoned Soviet-era uranium mine nearby was causing the syndrome. Interesting. So it's literally just them getting suffocated. Or it could be something more sinister. There's another report that suggests the ailment was caused by chemical contamination of the groundwater supply. It was suggested that such chemicals had originated from the use by the military and had leaked from barrels. That makes a lot of sense, given that Kazakhstan was in the Soviet bloc, right? Yeah, okay. It was in the Soviet Republic. Given their track record of environmental protections, it would track that it would come from some weird chemical that leached into the groundwater or something in that city.
Number 4, circles of Namibia.
Oh, the circles of Namibia.
There is an ecological mystery sitting throughout Namibian deserts. There are fields of grass with circles carved in them at regular intervals. The circles are almost perfectly created and can range from 10 to 65 feet.
I don't know if I would call these perfect circles, but
in diameter.
Sure.
And by the way, if you were thinking of the movie The Signs, you are not alone. Forget explaining the circles.
Hate to be this guy again, but it's just called Signs. Sorry. Really hurting your credibility here, mind boggler.
Scientists are not even sure of the more basic questions, such as, why are there circles?
Why is that in Russian?
Why not any random shape? Nothing grows in these circle patches. Scientists have come up with various theories.
It's got to be some kind of insect,
right?
right?
Debunked almost immediately. In 2013, Norbert Jurgens, an environmental scientist, said that termites were the cause of the circles. But in 2015, biologist Walter Schinkel tested the hypothesis and disproved it.
One of nature's great mysteries may now have an answer according to new fairy circle study. So they're going to just say, it was fairies? It was fairies the whole time. There's still more research to be done. Okay, we still don't know. This one is an actually unexplained phenomena.
Of Taos.
Phenomenon.
A barely audible buzzing sound that you cannot pinpoint can infuriate you. We have all been there when a distant lawnmower or our TV starts making a buzz. And unless and until we don't find where it's coming from, it feels like our brain is eating itself from the inside. Now imagine the pain and frustration of residents of Taos in New Mexico.
The entire
Since
town?
the early 1990s, large numbers of residents of Taos have complained about a constant humming sound.
What?
It can be heard all around the town and has driven people nuts.
What?
For 20 years, various investigators have tried to locate the hum, but to no success. Some scientists have hypothesized that the town's residents are super hearers who can detect sound that ordinary humans can't.
That does not seem like the most likely explanation. Yeah, it's just full of people who have super ears. Look at them. And they just have big old gigantic ears, twice the size of their head. Like, yeah, I mean, that would make a lot of sense. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of it in 30 seconds of research. Apparently, there's other places where there's a hum. Still a mystery, apparently. Oh, French scientists thought they solved the case, attributing the noise to microseismic waves putting pressure on the seabed and causing a droning effect that's able to reach the Earth's surface. That's actually what I was thinking too. I was thinking it would be seismic activity in a place, Taos is in the mountains, right? So there's probably tectonic activity there. That's an interesting one. It's one thing to say the solution that you think, but it's another thing to gather the data, as we've seen so far in this video. Scientists have revealed evidence of a widespread universal thrumming, an astral phenomenon they believe is caused by black holes echoing as they merge. Could this be the reason for the Taos Hum? Probably not, but that's another interesting thing to investigate.
But doesn't that raise more questions than it answers?
Yeah,
Number
the superheroes, yeah.
Never-ending lightning storm. In western Venezuela, over the Catatumbo River, there is a storm that never ceases.
Actually?
Starting at 7 p.m. every night, lightning crashes over the water for 10 hours every night. 200.
It never ends, but it starts at 7 p.m. every night? Doesn't that mean that it ends during the day? You said it goes for 10 hours. Starts at 7, goes for 10 hours, then it ends 10 hours after 7. Contradicting yourself a bit there, mind boggler.
60 nights each year. Nobody knows for sure why it happens. Up until recently, the leading theory was that it had something to do with uranium in the bedrock, although scientists are starting to doubt it. Today, the leading theory is a complicated one. It posits that the shape of the mountains cause warm trade winds to collide with cold air from the Andes. That collision is then fueled by the rapidly evaporating water below and methane from a nearby oil field.
What?
Nobody actually knows for sure, though, why it happens. Everything about it is mysterious, including one moment in 2010 when it inexplicably stopped. One day, the storm just died down without explanation and seemed for a while to be over. Then, after 6 weeks of silence, it sparked up again and has been raging ever since.
Okay.
Number 1.
Before we get to number 1, let's look more into this Catatumbo lightning storm. This seems pretty cool. Interesting. You know what would be crazy would be to be a person way far back in the day when gods and goddesses were the explanation for all natural phenomena. They probably hate this place. Tribal people would not mess with this place whatsoever. They would be very opposed to going near it. So it does seem to be some kind of meteorological, that's a hard word, phenomenon that has to do with, I guess, that mine nearby and also the way that the mountains make the air flow. I'm not going to read all this. That's pretty crazy. It would suck to live in the area where the lightning was every single night. I like the occasional thunderstorm, but I'm not about a nightly one.
The Boiling River. Deep in the Amazon lies a river 4 miles long and unlike any other on Earth. The Shenanetimpishka is so hot that any animal that steps into it gets boiled alive.
What?
When a hapless creature wanders in,
where is this?
The eyes cook first, melt the other on Earth. The Shenanetimpishka is so hot that any animal that steps into it gets boiled alive. When a hapless creature wanders in, the eyes cook first, melting in its skull. Soon the animal is in too much pain to keep swimming to safety. Water fills its mouth and lungs, and it is cooked from the inside out.
Dude, crazy.
The river gets as hot as 91 degrees Celsius, 196 degrees Fahrenheit. and scientists aren't completely sure why.
It's the largest
Normally,
This is the largest thermal river in the world. Gets to 4.5 meters, nearly 15 feet deep, and the widest point is nearly 100 feet wide.
Scientists believe that boiling hot water from under the earth cracks through fault lines and heats up the river, making the water a geothermal system unlike any other on Earth.
That's pretty cool. That was a pretty good video. We saw some stuff. We learned some things. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye.